So I glued it down to my cardstock, now cutting out and around, leaving a little bit of crafty border. So this is how mine came out. And I think I want to hang it so it hangs off the top lip here, but I was thinking about adding a little bit of greenery back behind. It looks good either way. I'm going to add the leaves. I was even thinking about adding the twine to this, but I think it's okay. I'm going to look here really quick to see. That actually looks really good. Adding some of this, gluing it down right on over. I'm going to do it. So you don't have to. I'm going to cut off what I don't need. Do it over here. I think it might look good. You might not think they look good, but that kind of stands out a little more, our rope. All right, that is still wet. It's going to have to dry, but at least I can get the sign glued down. So make sure I get those are down. So I'm going to wait for that to dry. But I think that looks pretty good. Let's see what else we can do. I think by just adding a little flower right there. Now your flowers may flatten out just a little bit, but I think it's going to be okay. We are on to getting our final pieces on. And that is our top flips. So let's fold on those score lines. And we do have to place magnets here before we completely glue down some pieces. Okay, so with your piece shut, you're going to have a flap at the top. You have the top score line and a bottom one. On the top one, let's crease that. We're going to hook it all back behind centered. Make sure that this is dry first before you do. And just kind of set it up, kind of look and see how that looks. If you need to maneuver it over a little more, do so. And I think I'm straight right about there. But get it right on that crease, and you'll still be able to see the other score line. So once you have it there, pinch and hold it. If it slips, you have to realign it. A good way to tell if you are where you should be is when you open this up, you should be able to see that score line still. The one that we folded on. Okay, let that do its thing, and we will push up. Now, if by chance that you got this on a little crooked, the magnet that we will be placing will help realign you. So there's top. Here's our other top flip. So our little piece, our hinge is going to be at the bottom. So if we're looking at it like this, you're probably upside down like me. This bottom score line, we're going to pinch so you'll still be able to see your other one. And this is where I want you to slip it. Make sure you're getting all the way back behind. You will notice that once you start doing that, it's going to start fitting like it should. You're just going to have to maneuver it over until these look like they are straight. Okay, so as you can see, and we will push that back down, but it should fit nicely on there. So this is the part. Carefully turn it over and place your glue. You can place it on the flap or you can place it on your thing, but it should come right back and flush over. Then you'll want to burnish that and let it sit for a minute. So don't get turned upside down. I'm going to put an X on that bottom one. So when this comes over, it's going to, with the magnet, latch. Let's grab some magnets. This is what's going to keep this page shut. And you don't want to mash it all the way down to where it's like mashed down. You're going to make sure this top one is pushed. And if you want to give it a little bit of a bend, the top one, so it comes over and gives you more room, you can. Let's grab a minus and a plus. Let's open up the top. I'm going to grab a plus here. I think you can see. Come down about an inch from the top of your magnet. And try to get it somewhere in the middle there. Whoops. Get over. Well, I'm down. That's fine. That's plenty enough of room. We'll grab the mate and put it on top. Now I'm going to show you first what's going to happen. I'm going to remove that adhesive. I'm going to bring this over, making sure I don't pull that. If you want to give yourself a little bend, you can, but it's going to come right down over the other loosely. And this is where you can, I got glue all over, you can line yourself up if you're a little cattywampus, okay? Cattywampus, is that even a word? So give a little bend, again, loosely over so you have that room, but not bulk. You want to have it come down over to latch nicely. Now just guide it without pulling this so far over. So this is what mine looks like. Looks good. Now, because we are magnet to magnet, and these are very, very strong, grab it here and just kind of pull off to the side. Otherwise, you're going to be probably pulling the magnet back off. So if you just slide it a little bit, it'll disconnect until we get at least some paper down on that. In your reserves, you will find this print. On the back, it looks like this. This one is about 5 1/4 inches by 12 inches. We're going to turn it so the frame is like this. We're going to measure over 4 1/4 inches and cut. So this is what we have so far. It's too long, but it will look good the way we place this. Now for this one, I think what we will do, because this is going to go down here, is we might do the same thing. We'll measure over 4 1/4 inches and cut. Let's take a look. They should be the same, so I am just going to double these up. One like this, one like this. Turn it sideways, measure over 4 7/8 and cut. Let's see how we did here. That should give us a nice craft border and leave us away from that. Now you have a choice. You can go this side or you can go this side. I think for me, I'm going to go with that, and then on the inside of this one, I'm going to go like that. So let's glue that down. Magnet. So this will provide a nice background for our photograph that we can lay on top of that. Okay, we're going to flip one up, and this one's going to come over the top when we're done, but we're going to work on this. And this will settle down your pockets. We're going to grab a couple pieces out of our reserves. One piece is this. What we're going to do is we're going to measure over 4 1/8 inch and cut. Because in your reserves you should have this, and that should be 4 1/8 wide. So this is another piece you'll want to get out. So we have that. This, verify that they are the same now. This is 4 1/8 by about 7 1/8 or so. So look at your piece like this. So the flowers are over here. Your scroll is over here. They should match up. This one is longer. So we're going to measure over 4 7/8 and cut. So our final pieces are 4 1/8 by 4 7/8. Okay, let's place it down. We should have a nice crafty border there. And we can glue it down. And try to get those sides even, because that's going to match up with the sides when we turn that one down. So, get your corners. My pet peeve. Get those corners. Okay, flip this one down. And I'm going to place this one now. And we do have a nice thick craft border. And I think I'm going to have the greenery off to the left and the flower at the top. Let's grab this back out of reserves. We have some choices here, and I'm going to go with the dolphin. So we're just going to, I'm going to weave around so my other pieces stay intact. So there's that. And let's see, what else? Actually, just in case, you see the little starfish there? Let's grab that. We're going to fussy cut out and around the dolphin and also the starfish, and then we will pick back up on what we'll be doing with that. I have mine done. We're going to add a little glue first to the starfish. And what I was thinking is it's going to end up like this, so kind of go like this. See what I did there. Now what we're going to do is glue this down to some cardstock, and we're going to cut out and around, leaving a little bit of a craft border. And I'll show you mine when I'm done, and then we will place this. Here is mine. And all I'm going to do is glue him down right here, but I'm going to leave it so I can still tuck something. So I'm just going to kind of take a peek, run a little glue right down here where that lip is, just a line of it. And I'm going to tack down his tail over here just on the edge. And then I'm going to flip it up, make sure I don't have any glue, which I don't. So this is our page 1, and that's one thing I wanted to point out to you that makes things a lot easier. Let's open this up, our album. Here's our front. So we're going to write 1, and then the next page is 2. I think you could see that. The next is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. That way, if you do get turned around, you know what page you were on. So it's like reading a book. So here's our page 1, and eventually when we do get this in our book, it's going to sit like that, and it's going to look really good. But I like to plant page 1 after I've planted so I can line them up together, because our chipboard cover is bigger than our inner sheet. So if I can get this on where it needs to be, then I can get it straight, matched up, top of this with the top of that, even. So for now, we're going to set this off to the side, and we are going to move on to page 2. And by the way, here's something. You can see that you can tuck something back in there. Okay, page 2, here we come. Page 2, we have a couple pre-cuts here. Let's start off with the first one. We have a 6 by 8 1/4 inch. We called it a side pocket. And what we ended up doing is laying this on our scoring board. So we were 6 inches across and we scored at a 1/2 inch. We then turned it, so now we are 8 1/4 across. We scored at a 1/2 inch, and then we scored it at 7 3/4. Our next piece was 5 1/2 by 7 7/8. We called this a flip. And what we did was we laid this on our scoring board, so we were 7 7/8 across. We scored it at a 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch. So if you notice, part 1 went very slowly. Part 2 won't be as slow because you guys have learned your pockets, you learned my style of cutting. So let's get through this and have a fun time while we're doing it. In your paper pack, you will find this beautiful print. On the back, it looks like this. The first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to turn it sideways. We're going to measure over 7 1/4 inches and cut. And this is what you should have. We're going to assemble our pocket and our flip because they do get attached together. So on your side pocket, we're going to cut out those little corners and we're going to assemble this like we've been doing. We'll place our glue down here. And we'll pull up the sides. For this piece, our opening is going to be right here. So I want you to come over here and just put an X, so that will tell you that's your side opening. Let's grab our 5 1/2 by 7 7/8 flip. We're going to fold on those score lines. Our hinge is going to be to the top. Again, opening here, hinge. We're going to take that top score line, we'll pinch on it, and we're just going to bring it over the top of this other piece. So you will notice that there is enough to get over onto this from your pocket. So once you have it in place, and I did slip, make sure you're straight and aligned with the sides. We're just going to glue that down. And we'll burnish. And then what we'll do is we will fold up. So the top of your piece will look like this. Here's your opening for your pocket. Here's your flip. Let's set this to the side. So I lost some video clips and now I'm going to guide you to get to this part. We actually, after you make that cut, you will have two pieces that are 6 inches wide. So here and here, and they're 7 1/4. I've already assembled the pocket and the flip, and this is easy because you've done both. But what you first want to do is you're going to actually grab your book. We're going to work right in the book, and one of your 6 inch wide by 7 1/4, you're going to lay that directly on your page 2. And when you do that, you're going to leave about 1/8 of an inch away from your hinge. And you're going to center that top and bottom. The page is going to be short, but I wanted to conserve paper, so that's why we cut it at 6 inches. Then what you do is you glue your pocket down on top of this. It's very easy. So this is what I have. Here's my page. Here's my flip. Okay, now what you're going to want to do next is plant your magnet. Come down about an inch. Once your magnet's down, put the mate on top, and we'll do like we did before. Take the adhesive off the mate, bring it down over your pocket, and press. Then you can always pull to the side to get that magnet off there so you're not struggling and tearing your magnet back off by going straight up. That other 6-inch wide piece, so you're 6 inches wide, you're going to measure over 5 1/4 inches, and you're going to cut that so it fits. Then you're going to trim down the bottom so it will fit nicely. So this is 5 1/4. That's your first cut. Then you will trim it down to 7. So 5 1/4 by 7, and you will glue that down over your magnet. Okay. In your reserves, you will have this piece. It's all one piece. You have no trimming. We just glued it down. And this is 5 by about 6 7/8. And notice that I centered it in between the sides. So you're going to have a little more cardstock on each side. And that is where we left off. So if you'd like to pause the video right now, do so. All right. So if you are done pausing and you have caught up to where we are, again, this is a very simple page. Here is our next thing. In your reserves, you will find this piece. It's 12 inches long, and it is about 5 1/8 inch this way. On the back, it's this. Okay. So all we're going to do, and yours is together. I've already made that cut, and then I decided I was going to go do some editing, and guess what? That's where I found out in the transfer I lost all that stuff. But thankfully, this is a page that is easy. What we ended up doing after you locate this is we're going to turn it so we have this over here. You're going to measure over 6 7/8 and cut. You'll stick that in your reserves. Now let's take a look here. This should fit perfectly. This is about 5 1/8. I don't think I did any trimming. It should fit nicely. So we're just going to glue this down. There was no other trimming. If this had been a hard page, I would have had to go buy another paper pack just to create it, just to show you to get there. But thankfully, I've had to do that before and take on that expense, because I definitely am not going to guide you through something that's difficult. Okay, so again, our opening is here. We have our flap on top. And I do want to add a few things. We have to lay our page 1 in there, but I do want to add something there. Let's try this. Let's grab this out of reserves. I just want to see how this looks here. Let's cut out the whale. And I may layer in some stuff. So let's just see how we look here. Okay, the flowers over here. Here's one in here. Let's just work with that for now. We'll put this back in our reserves. So let's cut out and around the whale, and I'll show you what mine looks like before we assemble this. And we're going to cut out and around the flowers. And I'm going to show you what mine looks like so that you get an idea what's in my head. So give me just a moment. So here we are with the whale. And as far as the flowers, I just kind of weaved around, as you can see. So let's grab some cardstock. We are going to glue these down. We're going to cut out and around, leaving a crafty border. And as soon as I am done getting mine down and cut out and around, I'll show you before we place these pieces and what we're going to do with it. So here is the whale and here is the flowers. So what I wanted to do is I'm just going to kind of crisscross these and I'm going to glue these together. So like this. So I'm just going to kind of lay this down to see how far apart, what I want to do. So about right like this. So arrange them any way that you would like. I'm just going to get some glue under there. And now I'm going to glue down to make kind of like a little tuck pocket, just getting the bottom a little bit and the sides. And this is where some scratch cardstock will come in handy for me. Get that down like that. So I believe we'll still be able to tuck back behind there and show through. Let's grab our page 1. Now that we have our page 2 pretty much completed, let's get our score tape out. And you can use your 1/4 inch or your 3/8. And all we're going to do is flip this over. We're going to place score tape around the outside like a picture frame to start. We'll go one down the middle. Now this is a page that has a lot of stuff on it. So we are better off to do 2 on each side of that middle point. So I'm going to show you before I remove my score tape. I still have to burnish that down. So this is what I was talking about, is that after you remove your score tape, and you can dab some glue to maneuver, but be mindful of where your hinges. You do have that one inside craft cardstock. Don't be deceived by that line you see there. Watch where that is. So you'll come and you're just going to place that almost right on top of that and where the edge of your inside cover is there. And you'll want to try and keep it lined up with this. And you will place it. It's that easy. So I've got to do some burnishing first, and then I'm going to remove the score tape and then I'll place it. Okay, make sure your piece is going the right way. Here we go. I can't tell if I'm completely even there. Don't want to get my head in the video, but I'm just going to go for it. And I'm going to place that down. Then you're going to want to open this completely up and start burnishing. How that looks. I like how that turned out. Okay, there's a couple things that I would like to add to our page 1. And on my leaves, all I did was clip off a little bit. And I think I'm just going to put some glue right down here. And it looks like I can still tuck some of this back behind. Or just clip your leaves shorter. I thought I would add just a little flower. Let's see, a darker one. I think I'll go with the darker one. Right there. And this doesn't catch on anything. And that looks really good. Page 1 and 2 is complete. We are now moving on to page 3. We're on page 3. We have one pre-cut, and that is a 4.5 by 10 inch. And the first thing that we wanted to do per our pre-cutting guide is we'll lay it on our scoring board at 4.5 inches. We're going to score it at a 1/2 inch. We then turned it, so we are now 10 inches across. Score at a 1/2 inch and 9.5 inches. Now there was a note on the pre-cutting guide not to jump ahead and pre-assemble this. We have to do something to this first. So we're just going to set that off to the side. Do something a little bit different. So in your paper pack, you will have this. It's beautiful. And on the back, it looks like this. Absolutely lovely. So the first thing I would like us to do is we're going to turn this completely upside down. We're going to measure over 9 inches and cut. So after our cut, this is what we have. So this is where we're going to make several cuts to get what we want off here. So first we'll turn it this way. We're going to measure over 3 inches and cut. After doing that, this is what you have. Keep this and keep this. Put this off to the side with your pocket. We're still looking at him, so he is sideways. Measure over 7 1/4 inches and cut. This is our base page. Let's grab this. All right, so the pocket, let's not assemble for this. What we want to do is we are going to cut down and around this image. So I want to show you first before you do it, so you can get it kind of like what I have it, okay? So we'll just kind of weave in and around some of this stuff. You don't have to be perfect by any means. Just kind of weave in and out. Okay, so now I'm going to go down a little and up. What I'm doing is creating up and down kind of deal here. And I'll bring it up closer so you can see in just a moment. And I'm not being real perfect at this. I'm just kind of going along. So as you can see, I started up higher, and then I kind of went down in the middle and brought myself kind of back up and around. What you're going to want to do, and I made this taller so it gave us some room, is we are going to apply glue first, and then we're going to place that right in between the score lines on the side and right above this. And the reason why we're not assembling first is because next we're going to cut around this, and it's going to look really nice. So right in between, trying to get that straight. That looks pretty good to me. All right, so here's the bottom flap. Here's our side. What we're going to do is come straight in, and we're going to cut out and around this, leaving, not down here, but just along the top, leaving a little bit of craft colored cardstock showing to border this. So let me do mine, and I will show you what mine looks like when I'm done. So this is what mine looks like. I'll bring it up. Again, I'm not the best fussy cutter. Now down in the corners, let's cut those squares out. Now we can fold and assemble our pocket. Here is our base sheet. And look how neat that looks. That looks really good. Let's glue this down. And you can always clip at angles, these up here if needed to, if you can see those poking out. I'm looking at different things that I could add, some texture. So I just cut a little bit of my burlap, and I'm going to glue this down. Pull this out of your reserves, and you see where ocean is? We're going to cut that out, and it looks like I am going to end up detaching here. That's okay. I'll just put all of this back. And what we'll do with this, once we're done cutting it out, is we're going to lay it down to some craft cardstock, glue it down, and then we'll cut out and around, leaving a crafty border. this is what mine looks like. I want to see what this looks like now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave myself some tail here, and I'm just going to wrap this around a couple times. And I think I'm going to come right to the middle. Wrap that around, maybe go underneath the other one, pull them together, and maybe knot it. I think I might want to do that. Yep. That looks good. Cut these a little shorter. So that's all I did. Wrap that around. I'm going to put some of this glue on the back so it does not slide around and it will grab to the burlap. So it grabs the burlap. I'll just use this whole thing here. And I think I'm going to grab just a piece of my bits of my stuff, my leaves. And before that glue completely dries down, I think I'm just going to slide some right on underneath there. And our page 3 is complete. We're going to flip that over. We're going to place score tape around the outside like a picture frame. We'll go one down the middle, and I think one on either side of that will be just fine. And I'll show you mine before we place it together. So that's what it looks like. Looks good. Let's grab our book. And I'm going to remove the score tape and I'm going to show you. Let me burnish this down really quick. I got the score tape backing off. So again, we're going to stay 1/8 inch at least away from that hinge, and we'll try and center that top to bottom as best we can and place it. And there's your pocket. I think that looks great. We're now on to page 4. Page 4, we have some pre-cuts. So we had to start 2 pieces that were 5 1/8 by 6 inch. And all you're going to do with this is you're going to lay this on your scoring board. So you are 5 1/8 inch across. You're going to score that at 1/2 inch and 5/8. And that on each one of these. Oh, and we called that our fold out. Next, we had a 6 1/2 by 9 inch piece, and we called it a bottom flip. We laid this on our scoring board, so we were 6 1/2 inches across. We scored it at 1/2 and 3/4. We then had a 4 3/4 by 9 inch. We called it a top flip. We laid this on our scoring board, so we were 4 3/4 across, and we scored that at 1/2 and 3/4. We had one more piece, and it is a 4 by 6 3/8, and we called it a pocket. And we laid that on our scoring board, so we were 4 inches across. We scored it at 1/2 inch. We then turned it, so now we were 6 3/8 inch across. We scored it at 1/2 inch and 5 7/8. And we called that our pocket. We're going to begin with our base page, and in your paper pack you will find this beautiful print. And on the back it looks like this. The first thing that I would like us to do is just turn our paper sideways. We're going to measure over 7 1/4 inches and cut. After making that cut, you will have this. We'll put this in our reserves. We're going to turn it upside down. We'll measure over 9 inches and cut. And this is our base decorative page here. Let's begin by grabbing our two pieces that are 5 1/8 by 6 inch. We're going to have a hinge off to the right and a hinge off to the left. So let's fold on those score lines on each piece and get them ready. Okay, let's start with attaching the one off to the right. So our hinge is off to the right. We have an inside score line and an outside one. On the outside one, we're going to pinch. You'll still be able to see the other score line. And we're going to attach this directly in the middle. So we're going to try and get that centered in the middle somewhere there. And then we'll pinch, hold it, turn it over, and we're going to glue this flap down. This is a good page for just adding some photos. And of course we'll have a pocket too by the time we're done. So there's one. Don't push back just yet. We're going to attach this one first. So we're going to have a hinge off to the left. And on that outside score line we're going to pinch. And we're going to do the same thing. And when we hook that on, we're going to line it up even with this one. As even as you can. And we will glue that down. Okay, now once you have that down, of course, check for any glue seeping, but we'll push back on those other score lines there and kind of push it in. And we're just going to open this up and we're going to find our paper for in there. In your reserves, you will find this piece. This is 12 inches long by about 4 7/8. It looks like this on this side, and on this side it looks like this. We're going to rotate this so that this part is sitting over here. It's sideways. We're going to measure over 4 1/4 inches and cut. So basically all we did was cut off the brown. We'll put that in reserves. We're going to measure over 5 3/4 and cut. We'll measure over again 5 3/4 and cut. So this is what we have. We're going to center this right on into each one of these panels here, just like that. I think I want the blue splattered over there, and then I'll put that right on over there. So we're going to glue both of these down and burnish it. Oh, that's pretty too on that side, isn't it? Very pretty. So whatever side you'd like to use, I think I'll just go with it like this. All right, let's find our paper for out here. In your reserves, you will find this. This is 12 inches long by 5 1/8. On the other side, it looks like this. We're going to look at it where the print is over here and the blue is over here. We're going to measure over 4 1/4 inches and cut. This is what you should have after you make that cut. We're going to look at it like this. We'll measure over 5 3/4 and cut. We'll measure over again 5 3/4 and cut. And this is what we should have. So we're just going to center that right on those and glue them down. I'm just going to flip that over and burnish on this side. It's easier. When I lay this, I'm going to try and get it even with that one as best I can. Let's set that to the side. In our reserves, we have this piece. And all we're going to do is cut out and around the sea turtle. Once you have it cut out, we're going to cut out and around. And then what we're going to do is we will glue the image down to our cardstock, cut out and around, leaving a craft border. And I'll show you mine. I have mine all cut out, and it was glued down to the cardstock and glued out and around, or I meant cut out and around. So we have these shut, and all we're going to do is apply a little bit of glue to this right side. So I'm going to pull this out just to show you, but we'll do a little glue here, and we will have it centered over here. So you can still place a photo, of course, on this panel and this one by sliding it behind. So I just need to get a little bit right here, and I'm going to stick a piece of scrap cardstock underneath so that the glue doesn't. But I'm going to try and center that somewhere there, and I think this is a good spot, right about there. And then I'll clean this up. So let me grab something. Here's just a little scrap, but you can still get your photo back behind in there. Let's see, I have a real photo, but you can still get your photo back behind on that side, and you can still get a photo on over here. Our next step, let's just set that to the side. That looks really good. I'm really happy with that. Let's grab our bottom flip, and we're going to fold on those score lines. And we're going to attach it to the bottom of this. So our hinge is on the bottom, and that we have two score lines. We have an upper and a lower. The lower one we're going to pinch and crease, so you'll still be able to see the other one. And we're going to slide that up along the bottom there. Get that nice and even with the sides best you can. We'll pinch and hold that, and we're going to glue that down. So leave it down like that. Now we're going to grab our top flip, and we're going to do the same thing. Fold on those score lines. Now on this one, we're going to have the hinge at the top. So now on the top score line, we pinch and crease. You still see the other one. And we're going to come over the top of this and line it up straight with our sides as best you can. So I think I got it where I want it. Just about here. Yep. And we will glue that down. Okay, top flip, bottom flip. We're going to push back against the other score lines. And then we can push it to where it's even. That looks pretty good to me. Let's fold up that top flip and grab a couple magnets. Plus and a minus. And again, we have the top flip up. We're going to come somewhere in the middle, down about an inch, and place it. Let's grab the mate, and we're going to do like we've done before. Once the mate is on that, we can remove the little sticker. And then we're going to make sure that this is flat, and you can give it a little bend if you want. I don't think this one really needs it, but you can bring it down even with your other ones. And press, and then I'm just going to shimmy that over to get that off. Okay, we're going to start working on the inside now, and I think this is a real good one to use. It's very pretty. Alright, this is in your reserves. It's 12 inches long by about 4 3/4 this way. We're going to turn it. We'll measure over 3 3/4 and cut. that should fit pretty well in there. We just need to cut this down now. So I think we're just going to turn that right upside down. And for this, I think we're going to be about, I think we'll go 8 3/4. Measure over 8 3/4 and cut. Let's see what that looks like. And if we center it in there all the way around with our border, it will look good. Let's glue that down. If you'd rather have that side showing, you can. And we'll just get that on there as best we can. I think that's good for me. That looks good. And I can also put a smaller photograph right here and I still have this, or vice versa. I can have that side and put a photo over here if I wanted. Well, that looks good. So down here on this, we're going to have a pocket. So let's assemble that really quick. Down in the corners, let's clip out those squares. Whoops. Got to cut over just a little too much. I think it'll be okay. And this is a little side pocket. By the time we're done, the opening is going to be over here. That looks really good. By the time we are done, we can put some stuff in here. And we can also lay a photo over here. So let's find our decorated paper for this. Don't glue it down yet. In your paper pack, you will find this print. On the back, it looks like this. We're going to turn this upside down. We're going to measure over 5 3/8 and cut. After making that cut, this is what you'll have. Let's put this one in our reserves. I think we'll go along this way. That'll look really good. Okay, so you have this side and this side. I want you to look at it to where the roses are over here. We're going to measure over 8 3/4 and cut. After making that cut, let's just place that down. I think it's going to give us a nice border. Of course, we'll stay away from our score line, but it will give us a nice border like that. Or we can go this way. And I think I'm just going to rotate this around to where it looks like this. And I'm going to glue that down. I need to unclog my glue bottle. It's time for that pocket. Now remember, the opening is here. And we're just going to apply glue and glue that down. And we're going to find the paper for this. In your reserves, you will find a piece that looks like this. On the back, it is this. This is about 3 inches wide by 7 1/4 right now. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to turn it this way. The blue is over here. We're going to measure over 5 3/8 and cut. We're going to place that right on over the pocket off to the side, and then we'll grab our other piece. Because we're going to use up some of these smaller pieces. It should fit right on over that pocket. And then we'll have that, which will get covered. In your reserves, you should have a very long, 12-inch long piece. And this strip is only about a 1/2 inch. So you can see what it looks like. I'm going to measure over 5 3/8 and cut. This is what's going to place right here. It'll look good right on over, and I'll leave a little bit of a craft border. But that's what we're going to do to give that a little bit of color, and we get to use this scrap up. It's perfect. in your reserves, you will have this. And do you see Ride with the Waves? I'm going to cut out and around that. Get that off. All right, we're going to cut out and around this. And then we're going to glue it down to some craft cardstock or whatever color you're using. And then we'll cut out and around, leaving that crafty border. And I'll show you mine when I'm done. This is what mine looks like. So what we're going to do is end up gluing this down. Make sure these edges do not go over the side. So I'm bringing my edges right to the side of my decorative paper. And we're only going to glue it down in certain spots because we can still use that to tuck a tag or even a photo. This is my idea, is so that you can stick a photo over here and overlap off the side if you wanted to. Or just stick your tag or smaller photo. So here's this. I'm just going to flip this over. I want to get the sides here. And I'm going to go along the bottom. Not all the way though, because remember it's going to stick over. And this is a good time to put some of that. Let's see. Oh yeah, that will work. And I think that looks really good. So if you have a small little tag, you can stick it in there, or a small photograph. It's a nice little tuck area. All right. We're going to just pull that one up, and we're going to get our paper for that. In your paper pack, you will have this beautiful print. On the back, it looks like this. First thing we're going to do is we're going to measure over 5.5 inches and cut. This is what you should have. All we're going to do is turn this over now. So our lines of our board is going this way, and we're going to measure over 8 3/4 and cut. This is what you should have. Let's center that and glue that down. For the top part of that flip, we're going to use some scraps from our reserves, and I'll show you which pieces in just a moment we're going to use for that. Good. All right, let's close that up. There are 2 pieces in your reserves we're going to get, and one is this piece. It's 12 inches long, and it is 3 inches this way. We're going to measure over 8 3/4 and cut. This is what you should have. We'll just set that to the side. Also in your reserves, you will have this piece. It is about 1 3/4 by 9 inches. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at it like this, and on the back it looks like this. We'll measure over 8 3/4 and cut. Right, the first piece that we're going to lay down is this one. So we'll put glue on this side. Right about there. And I'll burnish that down. I'm just going to push that back so I can get that really good. Okay. Now for this piece, I'm going to apply glue to this side, and I'm going to lay that right on over this one. And you'll notice over here that the trim, this brownish colored trim, matches up with this, and it will look really good. And right around here, I want to make sure I get something good right there. Keep that down. And I will leave a little bit of my craft cardstock showing. Make sure that's even. And I'll burnish that. That looks good. Now on your little cut apart piece that was like this, mine was detached, I want to get to this one. And what I'm going to do is cut out and around the flower and around this to start. And I'll show you what mine looks like when I'm done. So this is what mine looks like after I'm done cutting around it. We're going to glue this down to a piece of our craft cardstock. Then we're going to cut out and around, leaving a crafty border. So this is what mine looks like, and I'm just going to be gluing it down there. You might want to put some scratch paper underneath, because we're just going to do a line right here so you can still tuck back behind. So I'm just kind of looking where the middle is. I'll clean up any glue. Looks like I did okay back there. I think that looks good. I can still get something back behind. Page 4 is complete. Let's flip that over. We're going to add our score tape around the outside like a picture frame. We're going to go 1 down the middle and 2 on each side of those, and we're going to plant that in our book together. So I got the score tape on the back. I'm going to burnish that down really quick, and then I'm going to remove the score tape, and I'm going to grab the book, and we're going to place this together. So I've got the book. I got my backing off the score tape. Now, to help you be able to see what I'm doing here, I am going to just slide this back behind page 4 for now, so you can see my border. And I'll go like this. So you see it's the top 2. So again, I'm going to stay away from my hinge on this, and I'm going to bring this all the way over to where the side of this is even with this without going over. And I'm going to center that top and bottom to give me a little more space. And I think I got that on pretty good. Hopefully. Now I'll just open this all up and burnish. So you don't have to be quick about laying these pieces down. Again, use the glue to help you maneuver back behind if needed. And I think that's great. We have places for photos in here. We have our pocket. We can place photo down here as well. Page 4 is complete. We are now on to page 5. Page 5 has no pre-cuts. I wanted to make this a slimmer page because we were really thick on the other side. So, in your paper pack, you will find this gorgeous print. On the back, it looks like this. We're going to make a few cuts on this to get it centered the way I want it. So, first thing we're going to do is turn it this way. We'll measure over 3/4 and cut. So that just took off a little bit here. We will turn it sideways. We'll measure over 7¼ inches and cut. Flip it upside down, measure over 9 inches and cut. This is what you should have. There's a place right here to place a nice photo. Let's flip this over. We're going to do score tape around the outside like a picture frame. 1 down the middle and 1 on either side, and we're going to plant this in our book together. I got the score tape backing off this. Let's just open this up. Page 5, we're going to stay at least 1/8 of an inch away from our thing, and we're going to plant this, trying to center it. That looks good. We can work right on in our book for this. And I think we're going to grab Paradise. We're going to cut out and around it. And I'm going to end up detaching this bottom half and putting that in my reserves. And we're going to do the same thing we've done before. We're going to cut out and around this piece. Then we'll glue it down to our cardstock, cut out and around, leaving a cardstock border. I have mine done, and we're just going to add glue to the bottom part so you can still stuff a photo back behind. So just the bottom. And we will come down and place that. So that looks pretty good. I just want to add a few more things. I'm going to be placing that, tucking it right back behind like this. So I'll be adding glue to the top and just sliding it back there. If you have a little bit of overhang over here, it's not going to hurt nothing. And let's see, adding a flower would look really nice right there, and I think I'm going to. Just right there. That looks great. Page 5 is complete. We are now on to page 6. Page 6, we have several different pre-cuts for this. The first one was a 4 5/8 by 10 inch. We called it a pocket. This camera's shaking. Sorry about that. And we laid this on our scoring board, so we were 4 5/8 across. We scored it at a 1/2 inch. We turned it, so now we are 10 inches across. We scored at a 1/2 inch and 9 1/2 inches. And we called that our pocket. Next piece that we had was a very large piece. It's 7 1/4 by 9 3/4. We call this a large fold out. We laid this on our scoring board, so we were 9 3/4 across. We scored at a 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch. Our next pre-cut is a 7 by 7 1/4. We called it a fold out. We laid this on our scoring board, so we were 7 1/4 across. We scored at a 1/2 inch and 5/8. Next, and this is our last one, we have a 4 3/4 by 7 inch. We called it a small fold out. We laid this on our scoring board, so we were 4 3/4 across. We scored at a 1/2 inch and 5/8 inch. That's it. Now this page takes some magnets to keep it all down. It's very large. So let's just first start by getting our main decorative sheet. In your paper pack, you will find this pretty print with the whale, and on the back, it is this. So to make sure that we all have the same leftover cuts, we're going to turn it sideways. We're going to measure over 7 1/4 inches and cut. Okay? Next, we're just going to measure over 9 inches and cut. This is what you should have, and we're just going to flip that right on over. And I think we'll have, let's see, yeah, that looks good. And the first piece that we want is our 4 5/8 by 10 inch pocket. And we're no strangers to pockets. We're just going to clip out those squares. We're going to fold on our score lines, and we are going to adhere our sides together like we've been doing. And there's my tool. And we're going to fold that up. Now we do need to place a magnet on this, but not quite yet. What we do need to grab is our 7 1/4 by 9 3/4 large fold out. And we're going to fold on those score lines, and we need to attach this first before we can set any magnets. So there's our pocket. And let's see here, which way do I want to go with this? Boy, that looks pretty like that. And like that. I think we're going to go with the border being down, and this will look really nice. So our hinge is going to be off to the right. You have an inside score line and an outside score line. On the outside one, we're going to pinch and fold, and we're just going to wrap that right on over this. Should be nice and even, and we will adhere this down. Okay, we got that. So we're going to be opening it up like this. Let's get the pocket down. And then we will set some magnets here. Okay, make sure you don't get on your score line. You should just fit in there. Let's grab a plus and a minus. Now for this, we're going to need to go a little lower. So I am going to give you a measurement here. From the bottom corner of your fold out, I want you to measure up 2.5 inches. Come over to the side and just place that. That will clear us. And when we shut that, that's going to be just fine. Let's put the mate on, and we're going to be very careful on this because we have a very large spacing for us. So when you come over, make sure that you are flat, you match up, and you're not pulling. Press. There we go. So we've set that. Let's get our paper for this. In your reserves, you will find this print. It is 12 inches long, and it is 4 inches this way. Let's turn that around. We're going to measure over 9 inches and cut. And let's lay it down and take a look. So if you go all the way over and over, you should be fine. That looks pretty good. Now, if we're looking over this and you do need to trim off, you're going over the edge, which I might trim off a little, like a 1/16 of an inch on that actually. Do so it's not getting into too close to your inner score line of your fold out. So I just took an extra 1/16 off the side. And that'll look really good. Bring that over. And it will give you a nice border at the top, your crafty border. And now that we have our paper down, we need to get our paper for over here, but it'll shut nicely for us. Alright, let's find our paper for this. In your paper pack, you will have this print, and on the back, it's the seashells. That's pretty. And so what we're going to do is, of course, we have the writing going this way, but we are going to turn it, and we're just going to measure over 7 inches and cut. So that's what you should have. Let's turn it upside down. So this is over here. We're going to measure over 8 3/4 and cut. Let's see here. Let's place that down. That should give us a nice border. And we're going to glue that down. This will give us, if you'd rather have this side up, you can. Watch your score line over there. All right, let's close that up. We're going to find our other piece that's going to go there. In your paper pack, you will find another one of these. On the back, it looks like this. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to turn it sideways. We're going to measure over 7 inches and cut. So this is what you should have. And we're going to measure over 8 3/4 and cut. Don't glue this down, but you should be able to check yourself before we put our fold outs, attach them to this, but check yourself, make sure you have a nice border. Let's attach our fold outs to this, and those are the last two. We have a small fold out that's 4 3/4 by 7, and we have a 7 by 7 1/4. Of course, we're 7 1/4 this way. We have our score marks, and we're 7 inches. Let's fold and attach. And our hinge, the large one, 7 by 7 1/4, and that should be the same height as your page. So on your flaps over here, the outside score line, we're going to pinch and crease, and we're going to slide that back behind and line that up. And then we're going to do like we've always done. So I have that one down. I'm not going to push back yet. On this one, the hinge is going to be to the left, and on that outside score line, we're going to do the same thing. We'll slide it just like that. Line it up as best you can. That looks good. And we'll attach this hinge. Okay, now we can fold back on those other score lines. And then we're going to attach another set of magnets because these pieces are big. And I wanted to keep this down. So here we go. This one's going to go down, and then this one's going to come over. Let's open up the small fold out, and I'm going to grab a couple magnets. We have just enough for this album. Okay. You're going to come in about 1 inch from the side. We'll put the mate on there. And now we're going to come over. Make sure you line up there. And we'll press. Okay, now this whole piece can be glued down to this one. So let's do that really quick so we don't get confused. As you can see, we have quite a bit of nice spacing for our photographs on this. Okay, make sure you're going the right way. Open it up and place it. Just kind of center it in there. It should sit right on top. Oop, get that open. And if you have to, you can always press this over to the right to get this to lay flat underneath for you. Okay, there's that. There's that. That looks good. There's that. Okay, we have paper to lay in here. We're going to splice together 2 pieces to cover this large inside panel. And what you're going to find in your reserves is this piece. It is about 3 inches by 7 1/4. So that's the first one. And the second one is this. This is 12 inches by 5 inches. On looking at them both like this, what we're going to do is on each one of these, let me move this out of the way so you can see a little better. On each one of these, we're going to measure over 6 3/8 and cut. Once you do that, let's grab this. We're going to first start with this one. And notice I have this brown little border here, and we have a brown border here. So the brown border is going to be over here, and we're going to bring that up, leaving ourselves a border up here and on the sides, of course. So we'll get that on there. This is a large album. It may only have, what, 8 pages, but we have a lot of fold-outs for our stuff. It holds quite a bit. So I just want to make sure I get that on pretty straight. Now we're going to glue this one down on top of it. And I think it'll look good because the borders match up pretty well. That looks good. And we can place a photo over there when we're done with our album. So there's that. We're going to get for over here now. In your reserves, you're going to find these two pieces. And let's look at this one. This one is about 1 1/4 by about 7 1/4. There's our first piece. And this one is 3 1/4 by 7. So I'm going to move this out of the way. On each one of these, what we're going to do is we're going to lay them out like this. We're going to measure over 6 3/4 inch and cut. So I made that cut. First one to lay down is this one with the brown border off to the left. Make sure we get around that magnet pretty good. So we'll center that, we'll leave a border, center that top and bottom. So now for this one, we'll apply glue and it will go over the top, so now we have a border over here. And you'll watch, make sure you have a border over here too. Just do the best you can. Let's grab this out of our reserves and let's get the large starfish. Trying to keep it all together here without separating. Let's cut out and around the starfish, and then what we're going to do is we're going to glue it down to some cardstock and we'll cut out and around that. Here is mine, and I have it backed. We're just going to stick that off to the side, but I'm only going to put a little bit of glue right here behind this and down here, and I'll just stick that there. On this, we're going to cut out and around Take Me to the Sea, and we're going to back that to some craft cardstock and cut out and around, leaving a crafty border. And I'll show you mine when I'm done with it. Here is mine. And we're not going to apply glue to the whole thing. We're just going to along the back of the bottom so you can still stuff your photographs. And we'll bring this down, kind of break up some of the colors here. I do have some greenery I could add if I wanted to. And I think I'm just going to take off some of these little whoop-de-doos. Cut that down a little. And I'm going to apply glue to the front of it so it sticks and it doesn't glue down my thing. And I'm just going to stick it like that. And I think I am pretty satisfied with how this looks. Let's just close that up. In your reserves, you will find this print on the back. It looks like this. Right now, we are about 6 5/8 by 12 inches. I want you to turn that upside down. We're going to measure over 6 3/8 and cut. After you do that, we're going to trim this just a little more. We're going to measure over 1 1/8 and cut. So that trimmed that up just a little bit. We're going to look at it like this again. We're going to measure over 6 3/4 and cut. And now we have Mr. Sea Lion. So we're just going to glue that down right there. I love the sea lion. So cute. Lots of places to just place our photos very easily. However, I would not be covering him up. That's for sure. Okay, flip that on over. Whoops, there's my thing. Let's get our piece for this. Okay, there are two pieces and we are going to splice these together. So this piece here, it looks like this on the back and on the front. Right now, this is about 4 1/8 by about 6 3/8. So we do need to cut this down a bit. So looking at it like this, we're going to measure over 3 7/8 and cut. Don't glue it down just yet, but that should fit in there. We just need for up here. And in our reserves, you will find this piece. It is 12 inches long by about, what is that, 3/4. And how did I want to place this? This is going to go right on up over like this. Let's see which way looks the best. I think it's going to look best like that. So over here you have some of this. On the other side it looks like this. Measure over 3 7/8 and cut. So that should look good. And when we place it back behind, it should look like it was the border continuing. So let's get this down. I need to see what I'm doing here. I think that's good enough. Now we're just going to apply glue to this. I need to burnish that other piece. Make sure you get it at the top here and around your seams. And we'll just place that right on over, center that. And the last piece of the puzzle is you will find your cut apart Dance with the Waves. We're going to cut out and around this. Then what we're going to do is we're going to glue it down to some craft cardstock. We'll cut out and around, leaving a craft border. This is what mine looks like, and I still want to be able to use this as a tuck. So at the bottom, all I'm going to do is kind of just put a little bit there, and I'm going to place that down. You could put a tag in there or something. So I've got some of my leaves here, and I'm going to be applying the glue to the top because it's going to just slide right here, and you want to make sure that you tack it down good so nothing snags. But I'm going to have it kind of off the page. So down here I know I can get a little bit, and I'm not so sure I need all of that. I can pull off these over here and start gluing some of this down. And you want to leave something so you have something to tack down. And then I'm going to stick something back behind to make sure that I got that down pretty good. And I'm stuck. That's why we use that. Make sure you don't get any seepage. I'm going to grab a little flower and I'm going to place it right here. So back behind this goes. And I'm just going to make sure I get on this and my flowers here so they don't tear off later. And then on these two petals, right, or petals, I guess you'd call them, can go down to this, so that's going to help. Oh, I think that looks really good. I hope you like it. Page 6 is complete. We're going to flip it over. Score tape goes around the outside like a picture frame. 1 down the middle, 2 on each side of that. We're going to plant that in our book together. Here's our page 6. And what do I have to stick back behind so you can see what I'm doing? We're going to do the same thing we did with a previous page. Is we're actually going to take the side of this, the edge of our thing, because we're like this on the side, and we're going to come to just leave maybe a 1/16 or so of your cardstock, and we're going to try and center that top and bottom. So kind of working this to get it even. Now I'm going to open this all up. This whole fold out comes out. And we're going to burnish. I really like this. This looks really good. And then we have this part. Alrighty, we are now on to page 7. Page 7 has one pre-cut. It's our pocket page. It is 3.5 by 10 inches for our pre-cut. And what we did was we laid this down on our scoring board. So we were 3.5 inches across. We scored at a 1/2 inch. Then we turned it, so now we are 10 inches across. We scored at a 1/2 inch and 9.5 inches. We can get this ready to go really quick. Let's cut out those little squares and assemble the pocket. This page is quite easy and won't take us any time at all. All right, let's set that off to the side. In your paper pack, you will find this beautiful print. And on the back, it looks like this. The first thing that we're going to do is we are going to turn it sideways. We're going to measure over 7.25 inches and cut. And that's going to put a cut just right above his head. So that's what you should have. Next, we're just going to measure over 9 inches and cut. Let's grab our pocket and we're going to lay it down on there. Whoops, I got crazy with the glue. Just a little too crazy there. We'll line it up with our piece down here. Now if you would like, you can pucker it up just a little bit there. Just kind of bring in the sides a little and then tack down this. It'll give you a little more room in that pocket. In your reserves, you will find this. And on the back, it looks like this. This piece is about, let me line that up, 4 7/8 by 12 inches long. We're going to, let's see here, we're going to turn it sideways. We're going to measure over 2 7/8 and cut. Okay, for this, I think we're going to chop this down a little bit more than 9 inches. So we'll just measure over 8 7/8 and cut. Let's lay that down. And when you lay that down, you'll leave yourself a little bit of a craft border up there. But if you notice, our lines in the slat of the wood grain in the back of the paper will pretty much line up with this. It looks really good. So let's glue that down. In your reserves, you will find this. We have this. We're almost done with all these cut-aparts. Oh my gosh. We're going to cut out and around, go with the flow. So once we cut out and around this, we're going to lay this down to some leftover scrap cardstock, and we'll cut around it, leaving a crafty border. So this is what mine looks like. I've got some twine here, and I'm just going to kind of wrap around a couple times and then make a little knot. So for this, what I'm going to do is glue down the bottom part of this so I can still use this as a tuck. And I'm going to grab this glue because I got the twine, and I'm going to get back behind that twine just a little bit. And I'm probably going to want to get the side on this too, but just along the bottom for the most part. I think I'm going to glue down some greenery here. I'm going to get glue on the back of this, glue this down. And I think I'm going to have to glue down some up there too. So the side of the pocket will be down a bit, but there's plenty of room in here still. Snip off this little whoop-de-doo. Don't need that. So long as I have enough room in here, it'll be okay. I think that's pretty good. I'm going to stick a flower, I think, a double flower, right in the corner over there. And I have another little flower I'll just stick right here. Let's take a look. That looks really good. I like it. Page 7 is complete. When your stuff dries, flip it over, do score tape around the outside like a picture frame, one down the middle, and then I think one on either side, and we will plant this in our book together. Alright, page 7, we're going to make sure that we stay at least 1/8 of an inch away, and we're going to get that in there. Try to get that as even as we can. My flower still needs to dry. Okay, let's take our time and burnish this down really good. Page 7 is complete. My flower needs to dry more. We are now on to page 8, and we're going to move on to part 3 of this video so we can finish up our album. We have page 8 to do. We have our page hinge reinforcements and then the dritz closure. So we'll be done with this in no time.